Greetings and how are you, leaders? I trust you can hear me well, and we are glad again to meet for this session. And as usual, to continue engaging. I know it has been quite a long journey or a short journey. Some of you in the course of the day when we were discussing, those who felt the journey was very short. But indeed, it has been, we are getting now to close to 3 months because the program runs for 12 weeks. So I trust you are well, and maybe if you can hear me well, if you can give me an indication, I think that will be good so that we can continue with the discussion. Let me start with Pastor David. Greetings, Pastor. Probably if you're in a place where you're able to unmute and just say hello to the team, that will be okay. How about Miriam? Greetings, Miriam.
Greetings, sir. I can hear you clearly.
Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you.
How about Albert? Greetings, Mr. Albert. Okay, I think we'll check with Albert and Pastor David if they're able to hear as well. Otherwise, there's quite a lot to handle tonight, so we'll straight away get into our discussion. I think those who will join, they will find us going, because we need to maximize on the time that we are having tonight so that we can cover whatever is in our entry. So allow me just to say a prayer, then we'll pick it up from there. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the good journey that you've given us together with the leaders. Lord, from the time we embarked on this journey, you've been with us, and all of us are well, in good health, and we want to give you glory and honor. Thank you for the exchange that we have had, the knowledge that we have acquired, the skills, the connections. We pray that, Lord, you will help us to maximize these resources for the glory and honor of your name, and even to build your kingdom. We pray that, Lord, the leaders that you've given us and entrusted to us, the Lord will be able to become good stewards, to be able to share whatever we have, and also to upscale our leadership more so in terms of the spaces that you've given us. This night, as we continue with the discussion, we pray for your guidance. We pray for wisdom. We pray for knowledge. And we pray for understanding. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 So, leaders, I'm so happy to connect tonight as we conclude on the coursework. I think on my end, I've really enjoyed this journey. I know we'll have some time to reflect on how the journey has been, but I've really enjoyed the interaction. The sessions have been very interactive, very engaging. Today, I managed to have a call to, I think, almost everyone. And it was just good to be able to get your thoughts around this masterclass. But next week on Thursday, we'll be able to have a more detailed discussion as we climax our journey together. So this night, we're going to handle 2 sessions. We'll handle the session on personal development, and then we'll also handle the session on communication, effective communication. And then towards the end, we'll have some time just to be able to look at what we've been able to do so far in terms of our project proposal, even as we prepare for the final presentations. So as usual, I think let's continue with the conversation as we go through the class. So I'll be able to open along the way so that we can also be able to hear from your end. So we are talking about the power of personal growth and development. And what really excites me is that this is what we have been doing for the last all close to 3 months. We have been practicing this. And what comes with personal development is that commitment commitment to a program, commitment to some resources that adds value to us, and that also helps us to add value to other people. Because if you are to add value to other people, as we said from the beginning, then it starts with us. We are able to fill our cup. It gives us an opportunity to be able to pour into the cups of others. So this discussion is more of what we've been doing, and it's also a way of helping us to plan what next from here. Probably you have your own plan in terms of personal growth and development, and therefore we might be able to get a few tips here and there just to enrich your plan. If you don't have a plan yet, maybe not clearly defined and documented, this will also be an opportunity to think through how we can be able to plan our personal growth and development. So it's more of a reflective discussion, and it's also a discussion that will also trigger us to be able to probably structure more, especially where there are gaps in terms of personal development. I like using this word stretch as an acronym. And if you can recall, when we started the discussions, I said this program will stretch us. And I'm sure from the conversation we had today, most of you agreed that there was quite a lot to handle, very limited time, a lot of content to reflect, digest, and apply. Quite intensive reviews and all that. And because we felt, I think something that stretches us is able to reveal part of us, is able to reveal maybe a resource that we had and we did not have a clarity of what we had or what we are possessing. If you undertook the personality test, the online personality test, it was able to reveal a lot of qualities in ourselves. Some of the qualities we have probably never known that we possess. So stretching exposes us, takes us to the unknown, takes us to zones that we cannot walk easily to those zones. So when I'm using this as an acronym, this is just my own making. I say stretching comes with sacrifice. All of you have sacrificed this time and also the time to do book review. So personal development comes at a cost. It also comes in terms of time. It calls for time. I remember today we were talking with Ruth, and Ruth was just reminding me that when we started the journey, she had me saying that one of the costs of this program is time. And really it's time. Just getting that time to block the time. And you can agree, leaders, our time, there are so many competing activities, program, and people who are competing for our time. So actually blocking time to grow, to focus on our personal growth, our self-care is really a big plus for us because it's very hard to get that time as a leader. And you have heard this also from our discussions. Most of us are very busy, very committed to different activities, different projects. But I said, I think at some point this program is for busy people because they are very good in terms of organizing themselves. So it comes with the time, it comes also with resilience because it's not an easy journey. It comes with its own share of challenges. Again, environment, we have to position ourselves in a growth environment. And this has been a very, very good growth environment, both from the content that we are sharing and also from the platform, from the network, from the projects and many other avenues. And then tenacity, that ability to stay on, to keep on accepting, to stretch, accepting that, yes, I know it's not easy, but I have to keep on going. And then consistency. Consistency is really a game changer. Many people start very well. I've seen people starting to exercise, but along the way, 1, 2, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, it's gone. And this is what distinguishes people, especially when it comes to personal development and growth, being able to be consistent. I'll still revisit this later on. And then holistic growth. It's important to ensure that we are growing holistically. I'll mention that again in terms of intellectual growth, spiritual, social, and all the aspects that entails growth. So I just want you to note this. Stretch is very important when it comes to issues of personal development and growth, and this is what entails stretching. And therefore, the challenge that I want to pose to us tonight is, what programs or activities are you engaging in currently for enhancement of your personal growth and development? And this I mean very intentional, something that you have chosen and you've said, I've blocked out this and I'm focusing on this for my own. It's all your own choice to grow probably in some particular qualities that you feel you need to continue enhancing, depending with your profession and also depending with your passion. So what programs or activities are you engaging in currently? And I think one of the answers could be this masterclass. This masterclass could be one of the answers, and maybe there are many other answers that we can all give. It can be something educational, it can be something professional, it can be a research that you're undertaking, it can be a life skills program, could also be a workshop, seminars, conferences that you have purpose to attend intentionally. Could also be books that you are reading or videos that you are watching or journals. And I like this the era that we are in. There's a lot of information out there. And therefore, being in a workshop almost in a daily basis, and not just one workshop, many workshops. There are many opportunities. Some of them are recorded and they are posted out there, and some of them could be live. So, and I think we are living in very good times in terms of growth, because there's a lot of resources within our environments. So just think about that. Even as we continue with this discussion tonight. Now, as part of the introduction, allow me to mention a few thoughts from some of the leaders that really excelled. And they excelled in life because they mastered the art of personal growth and development. Most of them, you might find, they might not even be inclined to more of what they learned as part of their education, but is what they discovered and nurtured. And that's what really distinguishes all these people. James Allen, he wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh, and he says that people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling or reluctant to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. And I think that comes with a cost. Many people yearn for success, but I think now what distinguishes the people is the cost element. Because now we have to pay the cost for what I want to achieve, and that reluctancy, that unwillingness. It might not be intentional, but it might be something that comes with changing of habits that becomes a bit challenging. Again, Jim Rohn says that learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because you are the real resource. I am the resource. Yeah, I'm the real resource. And even in the job market, the moment someone stops growing, again, that person, even the value of that person can depreciate. So Jim Rohn says, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you will make a fortune, because you are the real resource. T.D. Jakes normally says that become the CEO of yourself. Be the CEO of yourself. Let the resource that you have cause you even to employ other people to manage that particular resource that you have discovered, even as you help them to also unpack their own. Again, John Maxwell, he says that growth does not just happen. We have to be intentional about it. And the sooner we make the transition to becoming intentional about our growth, the better it is, because growth compounds. And it also accelerates as we remain intentional about it. This is the law of intentionality. Growth happens when we are very intentional, just as we have done in terms of attending this masterclass. So without commitment to a planned personal growth, any growth that occurs will be circumstantial rather than intentional. We can grow in two ways. We can grow based on intentional plans, but we can also grow because circumstances have pushed us to grow. And I think the best example here could be the COVID. There are many things that happened. There are people who had to learn a new skill. There are people who had to learn practicing their passion because maybe something happened. Some of them maybe might have lost their jobs. There are people who had to learn a new skill, but it wasn't really that willing. It wasn't driven by a willing heart. It was driven by circumstances. But personal growth is too important to be left to circumstances. This is what I believe, that this is not something we can live for circumstances. This is something that we have to be very, very intentional about it. And growth has to be intentional, not based on circumstances only or accidental. It has to be something that we have to think through. And that's why coming up with a plan is actually a good way of saying that I'm intentional about this. And that's why I'm having a plan. If there's no stretching, remember the stretching, there's no growth, and there's no progress. There's also no discovery. There's no discovery. I try sometimes to imagine there are places that I walk in and out in a routine basis, and you can even probably just walk there unconsciously because you don't need to think much. You know the door, you know the window, you know every part. And that might also prevent someone from discovering something else. Maybe there's another door, there's another window somewhere, but because I'm used to the routine, to the normal, then I'm not able to discover the new channels around me. So stretching will usher us to some new doors, some new opportunities, some awareness level of something that required us to be able to dig deeper. And just think about the project proposal. The more you study around that area, the more you're able to unpack information. You unpack information, you unpack knowledge, something that will not have been easily accessed. But now because we are digging, then we're able to unpack some new knowledge. The same thing happens with ourselves. As we start digging deeper into ourselves, we start realizing some of those qualities. So as we say that a plan will always get us started, but now what distinguishes people is the discipline and is the consistency that comes with that, because consistency is a game changer. Yeah, it's a game changer. And this is one of the best lessons that I have learned. The more we became very consistent on leadership, the better we became. And we refused to get drifted. We decided just to focus on this. We realized that you're becoming better. You're unpacking information. You are learning a lot about leaders and how to enrich leaders. So basically here we are saying about becoming intentional in our personal growth and development. Craig, he's a very good speaker on leadership. You can Google and see some of his videos. He says that successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. Successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. And one of those things that these successful people do consistently is personal development. There's a documentary about Bill Gates on Netflix. Bill Gates normally has what he calls the thinking weeks. Thinking week. He goes out somewhere with a number of books, and all that he does is just to be able to read those books, think through. It's a thinking week, but it's informed with a lot of information. And that's why some of these people, actually, we see them at those levels. It also indicates the level of investment. And I've seen quite a number, I've studied quite a number, and you see the number of books they are reading per week, and it's like, wow, this now makes sense why this person is at this particular level. I know there are many other factors, but again, growth and intentional growth is important. John Maxwell, successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally. They practice daily discipline, they implement systems of their personal growth, and also make a bit they make it a habit to maintain a positive attitude. So we are saying, I think for us here is now being in this category of being very consistent and also being very intentional when it comes to our personal growth and development. Some more thoughts from other leaders as we move on. John Maxwell, again, he says, if we are growing, we are always going to be outside our comfort zone. We rarely grow in our comfort zone. Yeah, and this stretching, you can attest. Maybe it has not been very comfortable because we have to trade time, trade resources for us to be able to sit together and grow. So it comes with that push from the comfort zone. And that's now what leads us to be able to grow and also discover more about ourselves and more about the resources out there. Albert Einstein, he says, strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. And this is also a game changer. This is a quote that I really value because I realize that people are looking for value. And the more you become valuable, the more you become attractive to people, the more you become a resource. And the more people will not have a problem, even giving their own resources. I normally say that if a tree gives us fruits, then we have an obligation to pour that water, to give that tree what it requires so that we can continue getting the fruits. The same thing to us. We have a fruit that we can nurture, and the moment the fruit is coming out, we are giving fruits. Wow, people will just be attracted to us. They will come with water. They will come with all the means that it's possible to enrich this tree. This is something that I've seen practically as a person. When I started walking through this journey, I realized, wow, the more you become valuable, the more you become attractive, and also you become of more value in terms of what you are giving, and also in terms of what people can really pay just to be able to get this resource from you. So Oprah Winfrey says we can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. Yeah. Again, there's only one growth strategy, and I've mentioned about this. I think this is more of a summary up to where we are now. We are saying we need to be intentional. That means a plan comes with intentionality, and also the action, and also the stretching and consistency. And another key word there I added, that growth is our profit. And I'm taking this not from a religious aspect, but from a natural aspect. And the reason I said this is because if I'm talking about my future, what will take me there is the plan that I have to grow today. Yeah, what I'm doing today will determine where I'll be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to come. So if there is no growth today, then whatever I'm saying may not materialize, but the growth will determine where I will be. Our growth determines where we shall be. Yeah, so it determines, it's the habits that determines our directions. And then we grow towards opportunities by preparing for opportunities. So I just urge you leaders, maybe you can continue sharing your thoughts on the chat. We can look at them. So if something comes out very strong and you feel like, wow, this is something I want to bring it out to re-echo it, post on the chat so that when we post in between the lessons, we can also be able to look at what is on the chat. So just feel free to post even as we continue. Now, when it comes to personal growth and development, there is this keyword, self-care, a very, very important component, and especially for leaders, because it's very hard for us leaders to even miss out having time for ourselves, and not by choice, but by the prevailing circumstances around us. Some of us here, maybe you are a father, you are a mother, you are working, you are leading. There's so much that is surrounding us. And all these things are competing for our time. Yeah. And therefore, for me to continue being resourceful, I need to choose this keyword, self-care, and make it a practice in my life that I've blocked out this time. And this is what I also mentioned when we were starting the program. I said, can we block Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m.? Block it and say, this is my self-care time. Guys, At this time, it's about me, just sitting down, reflecting on what we are learning and seeing how do I improve on my leadership. So self-care, I think this will be one of the key take home from the whole of this masterclass. And there's a quote here by Parker Palmer. Self-care is never a selfish act, simply becoming a good steward of the only gift that you have been given, the gift that was you are put on earth to offer to others. Anytime we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves. That's very important. We do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. Because the moment I'm not growing, it also impacts on the people that I'm leading. Yeah, the moment my cup is dry, it means then I have nothing to be able to pour to others. People actually start feeling they are missing some freshness. They are missing some stretching. They are missing something that triggers them, ignites them, inspires them. But as we continue to grow, we realize, wow, every time I'm meeting with the leaders, there's something that I'm pouring into their hearts. And I think this is something that I've really practiced as a person. And I attribute a lot of success of this masterclass to this. There are times we just go somewhere and we say, no, these 2 days are just mine, just mine. I just want to think through, what am I offering to the people? What else can I do? Yeah, and that way, and who am I going to listen during those 2 days? Because there is a lot of resource that we can continue tapping so that we continue to share with others. There are 4 essential factors, and I've already alluded to these essential factors of personal growth and development. 4 essential factors, not emphasize so much, I'll just mention them. One of it is focus. So I need to define my area of focus. For us, we defined leadership, and we focused on leadership. So I think for me, if I get into a bookshop, my attention is always directed towards books on leadership, personal development, and leadership. So that definition of this is the focus, this is the area, then we put focus there, and also the focus in terms of ensuring that we don't get drifted along the way. And sometimes you're not drifted by bad things, but you are drifted by good things that are not in line with your area of focus. Okay, and then consistency, ensuring that we are along the journey, even as we walk through the long journey, the marathon. We're not just running the short race, but we are able to maintain that consistency without drifting. Then resilience. Sometimes we'll feel like we are quitting. Sometimes we'll feel like you can quit. There are times that every part of you screams, and you feel like I can't give it. I can't move on. And that ability to say no. I need to bounce back. I need to stand up again and continue going. Yeah, and then finally growth. Growth is key because this is how we track how we are. If I'm the same person 2-3 years down the line, then that is an indication that there is something that I need to do to ensure that I'm growing. So these are very important factors of personal growth: focus, consistency, resilience, and growth. And Martin Luther King Jr., he said that if you can't fly, then run. And if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep on moving forward. And this is what I'm saying, that whatever we do, we have to make sure that we are always growing, and intentionally that this is my part, and this is what I need to focus on to ensure that I'm growing. Okay. Robin Sharma has written quite a number of books, and one of the books that Robin Sharma has written is titled The Leader Who Had No Title. And this is what Robin Sharma says, that the swiftest way to triple your success is to double your investment in personal growth. The swiftest way to triple your success is to double your investment in personal growth. This is very, very true, because the moment I double my success, my level, or I triple my, or even double my personal growth, it also reflects in terms of my success in my area of growth. So just think through this. I'm seeing already you are sharing on the quote. Just give a minute, we continue sharing. Already I can see some of the reflection on the chat. I think let's just continue sharing. So there's this iceberg, the success iceberg. There's what people see, the sunshine, but there's that part of us that people don't see, especially when we are growing. And take growth like a seed. When the seed is under the soil, something is happening there. We can't see it, but when it comes out and it gives the fruit, that's what people see. But there's that part of the journey that people rarely see. That is what we now referring to as the personal growth and development. The hard work, the persistence, the sacrifice that you have talked about, the resilience that you have talked about, and all that. People may not see that. But after 3 months, you come out and people start feeling like, wow, this person sounds different, leads different, talks different. What happened? Yeah, that was our down moment that now is revealed on our up moment. Ecclesiastes 10:10 talks very well in terms of personal development, and we say that if the axe is dull, then one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength, but wisdom brings success. When we sharpen ourselves, we realize even leadership becomes easy. With little effort, we're able to get maximum results. Yeah, we're able to get maximum results. Why? Because we are using an axe that is sharp. And I think I've seen this come up in most of the discussions that we have had with leaders. There are leaders who are given positions of leadership, or they are appointed into position of leadership, but that sharpening doesn't happen very well, and therefore they struggle. They struggle so much to lead, and even to some point they become disappointed because they're not fruitful as they wish. And also the appointing authority also becomes disappointed because they're not getting the results they require. That's now where this kind of programs come in, that we can sit together, sharpen ourselves, and that gives us the opportunity to lead with ease and also with impact. Yeah. So Abraham Lincoln, he said that if he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. And I think that sometimes we take this in the reverse, and which also makes the work very hard. How much time we put into planning, to growth, and how much time we put into the actual leadership. I don't know the ratio, how your ratio would be. The time that you are leading and the time you're taking into growing yourself. I don't know how the ratio will be. And I think that's interesting, something that actually we can think through together. The 7 habits of highly effective people, Steve Covey says that sharpen the axe, sharpen the saw. If you want to get maximum results, always sharpen the saw first. So what are we talking about this personal development and growth? What is it all about? You're saying this personal development, one is a continuous, lifelong process. Continuous, it's a lifelong process of discovering, then developing, and improving the skills, the abilities, the knowledge, the potential, the strength to ensure maximum effectiveness, efficiency, and growth. Actually, we can possess some very specialized skills, some abilities, but how do we ensure that we maximally utilize these resources? It comes actually with this discussion tonight, is that I need to really ensure that I grow, I develop around this, I have the skills to be able to tap into this. It's like a good farmer that has the skills will always be able to get more yield. That a farmer that does not have the skills that are required to be able to cultivate the crops. So as we continue to grow, actually it helps us to be able to see what we have, how to nurture it, how to package it, and how to maximum on that resource. So becoming more effective, efficient, and also grow. Again, we are saying personal growth and development is a transformational process in which improvements are made in physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, social, and financial state. This is what I was saying. We need to grow holistically, ensuring that there is no part that is left out of our growth plan. And the goal is to improve performance, optimize potential, and other resources. So as we grow, why are we doing this? To ensure that we have become more productive. The performance is better. Again, we are also able to optimize the potential. We're able to tap into the potential and also the other resources at our disposal. So personal development may include the following goals. There are many goals around personal development. One is actually to have what we call PDPs or PDP, to ensure that there is a personal development plan in place, which is well defined. That will help us to move to other goals that include how do I improve in self-awareness. So that's a goal. So the first goal is to have the plan, and then the other goal now takes us to the nitty-gritty of the details of the plan. How do I improve my self-awareness? And leaders, you can recall at the very beginning, we talked about the core 4 leadership skills, and one of them was self-awareness. And we took some time. We looked at SWOT analysis. We also looked at the personal development online tool. We looked at the colors. We looked at the temperaments. And that's something that maybe even after this discussion, you may want to revisit, because that is really important because it exposes us to what we need to nurture. And then whatever you discover there is what we place it into this plan that we're talking about tonight. Again, improving self-knowledge, skills, identity or self-esteem. The other goal is also to develop strength or talents. What talents do I have? Improving career. Maybe some of us who are in the formal employment, you may need to work on your career. Again, identifying or improving potential in terms of lifestyle and quality of life. It's a goal that we need to focus on. Improving health, improving wealth and social status or value, and also social relationship, emotional intelligence, and then finally, spiritual identity development and recognition. So as we plan, these are some of the areas that needs to be within the plan and the areas that we need to focus on. There are some elements that are important, or some segments that you need to focus on as you plan your personal development. One, we need to look at skills enhancement. So the development of the personal skills or abilities or competences might be maybe professionally, might also be special skills. So the skill enhancement is one component to focus on, and also mental conditioning. This entails development and strengthening our minds, positive outlook or resilience. Now that inner stamina, how do I continue building my inner stamina? Sometimes people do exercise. Sometimes people they expose themselves to environments that will that are able to stretch them to a certain level. So that is mental conditioning, and then there is habit creation. So what are the habits that I need to work on? Do I need to work on my thoughts? So development of behaviors, some thoughts, some that will end up shaping our habits and maybe recreating the habits towards the plan. And that's now the only way that we're able to achieve what we anticipate. So these are the areas I've already mentioned. The areas for personal growth. We said social capital in terms of relationship. Again, health is very important, career, finance, and also recreation in terms of passion and other special abilities. So there is a personal development planning process. So the planning process focuses on the whole scope of self-analysis or self-awareness, where we started. Then the personal reflection, then honest appraisal of what have I seen and what do I need to focus on, of the strength and also maybe the weaknesses that you need to manage along the way. And as we undertake this process, it focuses actually on what we call the discovery, then development, then mastery, and then actualization. And actualization is now where we're able to really master that quality or that skill or that component that we are developing, and we are able to attain it. And this is where now I was saying it gives a person more value, and that person now becomes more valuable, and even the actual value of the person increases because of the investment that person has been able to achieve. Again, this is also another cycle or another way to look at it. So we look at self-assessment as the first step. And remember, leaders, again, I'm taking you to module 4, where we talked about self-awareness. So self-assessment, learning about my skills, my personality, and my interests. And we are saying self-assessment tools are a great way to start the personal development process. So I think as we reflect, we'll also be reflecting back how the journey has been. And I think this is a point that I'll also request that maybe after this, if you can spare some time to look at module 4, it will be really good. It will help us just to reflect on where we started, and also help us to shape our personal plan. Then self-discovery. This is now identifying the strength and weakness by self-assessing your skills. And this also includes defining your interests and values and the likes and dislikes. So the self-discovery. And then goal setting. Yeah, goals can help further your motivation and also turn your vision into reality, because goal will help us to manage the big plan, the bigger picture, now into achievable steps. Yeah, so developing short-term and also lifelong goals, which will help us to turn the vision into a reality. And then finally, we have the action. We said action on your plan turns your dreams into a reality. Yeah, action on our plans is the only way we can turn our dreams into a reality. So action, working on our achieving the personal development goals. So this is just another simplified cycle on how to look at personal development and growth. Part of the process, we are saying, where do we need to start? Where do we need to start? Establish the aim and objectives. Why do we need this plan? So we need to, what are the aims and objectives that you want to achieve at the end of probably a particular cycle, a particular season? So what you want to achieve in short, medium, or long term. And then assessing current realities. Where am I and where do I need to be? And what are the gaps? They might be skills, knowledge, or competencies. Then what appropriate activities, programs do I need to help me achieve these needs? And then what strategy or plan do I need to be able to reach my goals? And then finally, how do I measure and assess my progress? And which feedback system do I use? So this slides actually gives us just a summarized way of coming up with a personal development plan, including the many other aspects we've talked about. But it really it condenses everything to a very specific way of looking at it, and then just being able to shape something out of this. So I think just think through that. We start with establishing aims and objectives, what you want to achieve in terms of the short term, medium, or long term. Actually, for this will be the exercise that we'll undertake. Again, we assess the current realities in terms of the internal environment and the external environment, and what are the gaps, and what do I need to do to be able to bridge these gaps. So the same is now put down in a diagram form. So it's just the same narration in a diagram. There are models that you can use. I'll share just one model. There are so many models that we can use. So as we plan the personal development and growth, there are areas that we focus on. Maybe you want to work on your belief or something that relates to a belief, because a belief, it shapes our actions and shapes what we feel is important to us. So belief, that's one component in terms of this model that we are looking at. So the mindset, the identity, the motivation, and that leads to a plan, the goal setting, the organization, the work strategy. I'll give you an example on this. And then the action, the execution, the habits, also the productivity, and then that leads us to the results. What are the outcomes? What are the rewards and the feedback? Then it takes us to the review. So the evaluation, the assessment, and then we move on to the belief and see, are we improving? Are we achieving the goals that we set out to achieve? So let me give you an example on this, just to help us understand better. So we are saying this is a belief. You can start with this belief. This is someone just reflecting. And the first belief of this person is that I believe that reading is useful and can expand my knowledge. So you can think about a belief, your personal belief, and put it in the beliefs area. And then we move on to the plan. Now, from that belief, what do I need to plan? One, I set a goal to finish reading one book every week, because from the belief, this is what I need to do. And then what about the action? Then I place books and Kindle readers next to my bed. So that's an action. I need to position the book where I can easily access and read. And then what are the results? I read every night consecutively for 7 days. And what are the review? I track my reading habits every night with a habit tracking application. So these are models that starts with a belief. And then from the belief, you come up with a plan. And then from the plan, you come with an action, and then the results, and then review. You can continue with another belief, or you can continue improving on the earlier belief. So this is just one of the models. There are so many models out there. You can also use the PDCA or PDCA. Yeah. So the plan, the do, the check, and then the act. I think most of us probably have already interacted with this. Yeah, but this one starts at a higher level compared to the other one. The other one starts with the very intrinsic issues that now are brought into a plan. But now this one starts from the plan, which means you need to have already identified what you need to work on, and then you plan it, then you act on it, you undertake, you execute the plan, then you check, you study the results, and then you act to see if there are areas of improvement, and then we continue. The cycle continues. So let me not so much on that, because I'm sure this may not be something new. What are some of the personal development success attributes? I'll just share a few of them. Yeah, a few of them. So personal development success attributes. One of them, I've already mentioned this, is focus. And Robert Kiyosaki says, focus is about following one course until successful. So identify your area of interest, passion, and potential, and focus. In the triangle of success, at the tip of the triangle, this is where we have the most successful people. At the base is where we have the majority. And what really brings the distinction is that at the tip here, people have been able to become specialists, and they're able to be known for something. You can identify them for something. And I am normally very happy because from the team that we have trained, every time they come across something relating to leadership, they always send it to us, because they can relate us with that particular area. So that focus is important, narrowing down to one course. Yeah, a center of interest, a focal point. Then we dynamically focus on it, work on it. And I think even in the academic world, that is what happens. The professor is a specialist in a particular area. So when you're talking about this topic, you can only have this professor discussing that area, because he's known to be a specialist in that area. So focus, then positivity. Yeah. Positivity will keep us going. Yeah, establishing an environment of soberness and open-mindedness. So positivity, because this journey comes with stretching, as I already said. So we need to ensure that we remain positive along the journey. Is also a success attribute. And then consistency. Yeah, success is the sum total of small efforts that we repeat day in, day out. That is what eventually manifests as success. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. Okay, then we have self-discipline, a very, very important word there. Self-discipline, this is what will take us the marathon. The marathoners are very good in this. To be able to run a marathon, then need to have very good self-discipline in terms of preparing, in terms of positioning ourselves. So self-control, determination, and tenacity. And then patience, yeah, about constantly doing everything that we're able to do, but being very patient about results. And I think I'll share a story towards the end that really puts this into context, what we're talking about. And then persistence, maintaining a will as constant as time in pursuit of what or that which captures our eyes. Yeah, that willpower that we can be able to make it, and ensuring that we are on track. So persistence, yeah, those are some of the key success attributes when you're talking about personal development and growth. And there's a story here about a Chinese bamboo tree. Probably some of you have heard about this. The Chinese bamboo tree, we are told the seed of a Chinese bamboo tree is so hard that when it's planted, it stays underground for 5 years. 5 years, you don't see anything. The seed is just down there, but the farmer has to remain positive. The farmer has to be patient. The farmer has to consistently water that place with focus, with faith, with self-discipline, and with persistence. The farmer has to continue watering the ground, hoping that one day this seed will germinate. And what happens? 5 years, nothing is seen. But when it germinates, it's said that within about 6 weeks, it grows between 80 to 90 feet. Actually, they say that you can even sometimes literally be able to notice the growth because it grows very, very fast. But the question is this: what was happening in 5 years? The seed was under there, and the seed was spreading, preparing the roots and all that. And then when it starts going up, it really shoots very fast. This is what happens with personal growth and development. We may not feel like anything is happening. Might be there, spending our resources, spending time, reading, but we can't really quantify what is happening until that time comes when now the value has increased and people start seeing the values. People start tapping into what we have. And that's now what makes all the difference. So I just want to really reflect these success attributes, relate these success attributes to this story of Chinese bamboo tree. Yeah, personal development, we call for all this, call a lot of patience and a lot of investment and consistency among the other factors that we have talked about. I remember when we started the master classes, it wasn't easy, it was quite hard. I always say that the first cohort, we had 3 leaders and 2 of them did not finish, only 1 finished, and that's only my wife. And at some point we were feeling like, should we continue? Should we continue? But the growth was still happening. It was still growing, still giving out to leaders, calling leaders for trainings. They were free of charge. We were not charging anything. But even with the free ones, we still had a challenge getting people to come and just listen for free. But we were developing something. But now we are happy because whatever we were doing underground, under the iceberg, is now noticeable. At least people can be able to see it, and also they can be able to sell it. I remember today we were talking, I think, with Anthony, and Anthony was telling me this is something that I can refer to another leader. Why? Because there is value. You feel that, yes, are benefited, and this tree needs, I can comfortably be able to refer to other people. So as we conclude, there are some traps you need to watch out as we continue to plan our personal growth and development, maybe in that area of traps to watch, one of them is the environment. We need to be very well positioned in an environment that can promote growth, because there are environments that may not promote growth. The environments that sometimes are very toxic and they don't have that room for growth. Yeah, so growth requires proper positioning in terms of the environment. Sometimes the environment even can be comfort that does not propel us into growth. So comfort and security traps growth and development. And also toxic environment can trap our growth. Then the mindset. This is another trap. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people, as we have already said, is how they think about who they are and what they have. So our mind is the beginning point. If our mind is properly positioning, it can be a catalyst for growth. But if it's not well positioned, it can be a trap for growth. So it's about now, how do I reframe my mind regarding personal growth and development? If I'm well framed in terms of growth, then I'm able to invest and I'll not have a challenge investing in my growth. Yeah. Albert Einstein said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used to when we created them. So we need to think at another level, solve problems that were created at another, probably at a lower level. So our mind really plays a big role when it comes to growth. And then finally, we have the self-defeating habits. The habits, as we said, determines our direction. So the habits can be a catalyst and also they can be a trap, depending with how we've conditioned them. So every new level in life demands new habits. When you set a new standard, then that standard calls for some new habits that will help us to achieve those standards. And upward plans demands upward habits. So we are what we repeatedly think and do. So leaders, what we are saying is this, that we need to plan out, and as we plan out, also be very intentional in terms of looking at what are some of the issues that can prevent my growth, put them down so that as I start to grow and as I start working on the plan, I am aware of what I need to watch out for, so that we can move from the comfort zone where we feel safe and in control, but there is no growth, to the fear zone where there is lack of confidence, excuses, a lot of excuses in terms of our personal growth, to the learning zone. The learning zone is much, much better, where we're able to deal with challenges and problems. We acquire new skills, but the best is to be in the growth zone. This is where we find purpose, we live out our dreams, we set new goals, we conquer objectives, and we are passionate about growth. And growth does not become an event at this level. Growth becomes a culture, becomes a daily business. So as we conclude module 5, remember this quote by Robert Anthony. And this is, I think, the second or the third time I'm reading out this quote, that you can only have two things in life: reasons and results. But reasons don't count. And the people that have excelled and mastered the art of personal development and growth is from this realization that there are many reasons out there why I may not have time for myself, why I may not be able to probably, even in terms of resources, why I may not be able to channel these resources to something that probably can help me to grow. And they are justifiable reasons. But again, I think when we think through, we look at the value of personal growth and development and what those actions can lead to, then we're able to make the choice to be able to invest. But I've seen in many cases, again, we are saying where we have reasons for why we can't do some things, especially on personal growth and development. At the end of the day, it also impacts us negatively. I said that when a leader stops growing, then it also affects the growth of the other people. It affects the growth of the organization, and also it affects our, in terms of our exposure, because growth also, it's a way of exposing us, it gives us some level of exposure. So remember, these leaders, that you can only have two things in life: reasons and results, and reasons don't count. And as leaders, all of us here, we know when we give someone an assignment or a task, we better hear that the person attempted and came up with something. It may not be the really what we anticipated, but there was an attempt rather than someone who didn't do anything, because that time is lost. The time is lost. The time we just come with reasons, it means that time is lost. So the measure of personal growth is results and impact. And it's my hope that leaders, as we continue to focus on this, as we come to the conclusion of this masterclass, at least this discussion can help us just to really get some time just to sit through, think through, try to reflect on this discussion, try to think about what we have gone through, and maybe even just listening to this YouTube again and again as we try to put things down, as we maybe pause and just write whatever you're able to write. We're not giving you a particular format, but the exercise that we'll undertake this week will help us just to structure something that will help us in terms of planning our personal growth and development. Good, so allow me to pause there for 5 minutes, just to allow all of us to make a contribution of this discussion. I'm sure this is something that probably all of us may have something to share from what we have discussed, or even outside what we have discussed, but adding value to the discussion. So I just want to allow maybe a few of us can unmute and be able to share your reflection. Already I'm seeing on the chat, Pastor David, you are saying successful people do consistently what others do occasionally. And I think for me, when I read that, it triggered me to another level. And I said, I need to be consistent. And I think I like the way you have brought that out. Anthony, you are saying discipline governs the consistency in personal development. Very true. Again, Anthony, you are saying invest 10 minutes a day for your future. That's according to Oprah Winfrey. Just 10 minutes a day for your future. Yeah. And that will make all the difference. Again, Albert, you are saying leaders give results, not excuses. Very, very clear and very powerful. Let me allow if we can have maybe 2 more reflection. And this time, those of us who are able to unmute and just speak it out, I think that's also okay, as others continue also to share on the chat. So any comment, just anybody who may want to just unmute and just make a comment, please, I can be able to do that now. Then we'll move on to the second session. Chariot, I see you have indicated on the chat, self-care. Challenge is what I'm taking home. Mr. Mwangi, you're saying the 5 whys are equated with reasons and not results. Thank you so much. I can see we are following, can see we are engaging. Anybody who may want to unmute and just probably add 1 or 2 words or comments, or even a question. Even a question is okay.
Maybe just to mention something. I saw the self-awareness part of it. It might be one of the core factors that can enable you to know the drive of your personal development in the area that you really need to focus on, so that you cannot be a jack of all trades. So I thought I saw having the self-awareness, you know what I'm capable of, what are my abilities, then I'll drive more to focus more of my energy into getting to what I'm capable of doing in a better way with less struggle. Maybe like take, for example, as you had said that You go to the bookshop, you look for books that are related to leadership. So I think if someone else has another drive of something else, you focus to develop yourself more on that area. So I think I saw self-awareness being one of the greatest drivers to help you challenge yourself into developing yourself daily.
Yeah, very true, Anthony. Actually, that is the stepping stone. That's the beginning point. And just think about the model that we're using for the project proposal. We said we need to explore the internal and the external environment. So the internal environment is, what do I have? And then external environment is that what is out there, that what are the issues out there? It might be a challenge, it might be an opportunity, it might be a gap that I'm able to bridge with what I have. So that's actually where we start from, exactly as you said, because until I know what I have, then I may not know what I need to grow. What do I need to grow on? So the self-awareness is the first stone that we need now to start building on it. And I think many people engage in this, what we're talking about. Now what brings the distinction is that discipline of, this is what I have seen, and this is what I need to grow, and the focus. Because I've seen most of the things that move us from the focus, they may not even be the bad things, but they may be the good things, but not the right ones. Yeah, there are so many times we have had to say no to some events because we feel as we need to spend maybe more time with the leaders. If I'm to equip 10 leaders, will probably be much better for me rather than maybe just meeting 100 people that are more general. And maybe an area that I'm not really good, a specialist, not really good. I'm not a specialist in that particular area. So 10 minutes, 10 leaders will mean much more to us because we know the impact that these people can have. So, and that helps us to also become a resource, and also in terms of credibility. And I think just to add to what Robert Anthony has said, one of the other things that is very important is the issue of collaboration, because collaboration means that if we are engaging or we are organizing a forum, we know where we are good at. We'll focus there. We'll also probably collaborate with someone else who is good at a particular area. That person will bring their expertise. And again, what happens at the end of the day, we realize the function or the event or the program is top-notch because everybody is a specialist and everybody is offering their best. So it's a long process. It's a process that really requires a lot of self-discipline. Personally, there are things that we had to shelve off. There are some businesses I had to courageously say, this is good, but not the right one. It will prevent me from doing what I'm doing, and I need to shelve it off. We had to shelve a lot of things. We had to prune a lot of things. We had to cut off a lot of things. Some of them, we didn't remove them voluntarily. They were driven out by circumstances because we could not voluntarily do it. It was really hard. But sometimes circumstances will just push some things out of your way. So I agree with exactly what you have said. Mr. Maneno, it's important to focus. The more you focus, the more clearer you get to know what you need to undertake. Exactly. Very, very true. And that just climaxes, it just summarizes what we have said about focus. So leaders, I think with that, maybe we can move on. Let's move on to the second lesson. The second lesson we are looking at tonight, we're looking at the power of effective communication. This is the last one, the last module 16. So I'll start with a short video. Just allow me to start with a short video, look at it together, and then we reflect on what we're able to pick from this video. So just watch through, and then let's discuss briefly. I hope you can see the guys on your screen there.
Okay.
Let me confirm. Are you able to see the guys and hear the sound? Maybe someone can just confirm.
Yes, we can see them.
Okay. So the language might be not, they might mix the Indian and the English. So the actions are the most important. So let's just follow through.
Okay. First person have 3 steps before. Right. మీరు కూడా ముందుకు వెళ్ళండి ఒక హ్యాండ్ డిస్టెన్స్ లో ఉండండి ఒక హ్యాండ్ డిస్టెన్స్ ప్లెడ్జ్ అందరూ ఎవ్రీబడీ ఇస్తేనే హ్యాండ్ డిస్టెన్స్
ఏం కొంచెం ముందుకు రా
ఓకే
ఆగు
you got the space now you got the space right okay just మీరు కనెక్ట్ చేయండి అంతే అంతవరకు you just focus just stand there and get surprised okay mirror just observe okay right yes
no turnings.
Silent. Nobody looks back. Nobody turns back. Okay. Just listen. Don't laugh. మీరు నవ్వారంటే వాళ్ళ క్యూరియాసిటీ ఎక్కువై వెనక్కి తిరుగుతారు ఈ గేమ్ లో ఉండే ఫన్ పోతుంది ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు హ్యావ్ ఎ ఫన్ అలాంగ్ విత్ లర్నింగ్ జస్ట్ కీప్ క్వైట్ ఓకే రైట్
శేషాద్రి వెనక్కి తిరుగు ఓకే సార్ సతీష్ తిరుగు సతీష్ చెయ్యి
Right. You turn that side.
తిరుగు
Right.
తిరుగు
Right? Last time ఏం చెప్పాను నీకు ఏమన్నా కరెక్ట్ ఏం చెప్పాను
Good. So that's a simple exercise on communication. And I don't know what you can pick from that exercise as we get into this discussion of communication. Any observation you can make from that exercise relating to effective communication? I think we can start from there, even as we get into the discussion of the session. So any reflection? Yeah, this distortion. A distortion of the message. That's according to Albert, distortion of the message. So feel free also if you may want to unmute and just share your observation as well. Feel free to do that. I think we can pick 2 more. Yes, Mr. Albert. Yeah, there is poor concentration. That is according to Sarah, poor concentration. I think I've never seen that. Today I've seen that poor concentration has come out in this class, in this discussion, which is true. There are those who could not really pay a lot of attention just to get the whole message. Before they understand the message, they have already started communicating. And I think that also distorted the message. Need for writing, because there was only actions. Yeah, there was only one mode of communication. And as you noted, the instructor was saying, just look once and then you turn. So that also is part of the gap. And then clarity of the message really clear. Clarity of the message. Yeah. So I see distortion, poor concentration. Any other observation? Maybe you can pick one more. I don't know if there is anybody who may want just to comment. Can pick one more as we move on. Yeah, so also the body language. The body language, that's according to Mr. Mwangi. Yeah, and I'm sure many other observations we cannot. And again, you note that if the chain is very long, the risk of distortions are high. Yeah, because the message is moving across the chain. So if the chain is very long, and I think as leaders, then I need to walk along the chain and confirming, is the message still the same? Yeah, is the message still the same? Or has it reached to a level where it has been distorted? So that maybe the earlier people got a different message from the other team. So when the chain is long, I think we need to walk around in management where we said management by moving around just to ensure that did people interpret the message correctly? Did they interpret the memo correctly? Yeah. So among other lessons that we'll look at as we continue with the discussion. So leadership and communications are like twins. They walk hand in hand. And I'll bring that clear as we continue tonight, because a leader, I think one of the tasks that we undertake frequently is communication. Is communication. Jim Rohn says that effective communication is 20% what you know and 80% how you feel or you model about what you know, or even how you communicate what you know. So might be resourced, might have a very good vision, but again, how now do I pass that message in a way that others will be able to embrace and run with the message? That makes the difference when it comes to issues of communication. And George Bernard Shaw says that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Just remember that exercise. Yeah, that illusion that people have understood or people have interpreted the message correctly. The illusion that communication has taken place is the biggest problem when it comes to issues of communication. Therefore, those checks along the way are important. And that's why sometimes someone would say something and will require the person to restate so that there is no assumption, there is no confusion, because it might be a very critical mission that you're undertaking. That the slightest variation from what the message is intended can be disastrous. So we need to, again, really confirm so that there is no assumption. Now, when it comes to communication, there are the main questions that we need to ask as leaders. Anytime we are engaging in communication, these are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. One of the questions is, what do I want people to know? How should they feel? And what should they do? Yeah. So what do I want people to know? How should they feel? Will they be inspired? Will they be convicted, probably to engage? Will they be persuaded? So that feeling will lead to a particular action from the message. So what do I want them to know? How should they feel? And after that, what action do I require them to undertake? That's a very key question. We say this is the main question that we need to think through every time we are engaging in communication. And leaders spend 80% of their time on communication. I don't know if you agree with this source. Yeah, 80% of their time in communication. And I think this is, for us, I see this working, this happens. For us to really have a successful class, the amount of communication that goes into that is really high. It's really high. And therefore, one of our job is about communication. So whether it's verbal, face-to-face, it might be through emails, it can be whatever. It can be research, it can be emails, it can be calls. So according to research, it's suggested that leaders spend 80% of their time communicating, and therefore developing one's skills in issues of communication is very critical, is very important. Yeah, effective communication is vital to a leader's success. So this basically means that this is something then, as a leader, you need to pick it out. And maybe now, as you work on your personal development and growth plan, one of the areas that we might now look at it more keenly and see if there is a gap, maybe could be the area of communication. So if you feel there is something that you can do more, then this can be one of the areas to zero in as we work on our personal communication. So remember, when we are talking about the core 4 leadership skills, yeah, one of them was communication and self-awareness that, again, we revisited today. Again, we also looked at another resource which indicated that there is a gap when it comes to communication. Yeah, this is a study by NBO Group Limited in Asia, and 63% of the business leaders indicated a high need for leaders who communicate effectively. A high need for leaders who communicate effectively. Basically, they were saying, no, this is an area that needs attention. And I'm sure maybe even today within our environment, if we had to look at it, would clearly see it's an area maybe we need that has room for improvement. And communication we are talking about, including the attitude, including so many other aspects of communication, besides the writing, besides the public communication, there's also the other mode of communication, the body language, and many other forms that goes with communication. Been into some places, and you see, like, especially some restaurants, sometimes you get there and you really wonder, it's like these people they don't see your value. They don't see your value, and they require you for the business to be successful. But the kind of customer service, the kind of communication that goes across, it doesn't really communicate something of value to the customer. Yeah, maybe the attitude, maybe the reception. So all these are areas that cuts across because communication is, we can say, is everyone's business. But for leaders, it's a core business because of what we are dealing with the people, and we need to engage with them. So there's a gap, and there's need to work on this. Gilbert Amelio said that developing excellent communication skills is absolutely essential to effective leadership, because the leader must be able to share knowledge, must also be able to share ideas, must be able to share a vision, must be able to communicate a project, and to transmit a sense of urgency and enthusiasm to others. So if a leader cannot get a message across clearly and motivate others to act on it, then having a message, having a vision may not really matter. There are many visions that have not been able to pick, many visions that have not been able to excel because of this aspect of communication. Again, knowing that what message do I need to pass, and how should these people feel when they know this message, and what do I require from these people? So that clarity of sharing and passing that message in a way that is convincing can be a determinant and a key success factor. John Maxwell, he said that I'm convinced more than ever that good communication and leadership are all about connecting. And if you connect with others at every level, it might be one-to-one, in groups, your relationship becomes stronger. Yeah, so the person who is good in communication has a stronger relationship. Yeah, your sense of community improves, your ability to create teamwork increases, your also influence increases, and this also impacts on productivity. So you can see how key and how important communication is. The Center for Creative Leadership, they identified 5 tips for effective communication. Allow me just to mention this without much details. One of them is communicate relentlessly. Today, I'm sure you saw, either you received my call or you saw my missed call, you got my text, and you got the WhatsApp communication. Because we are at a critical stage. And at this stage, we feel like we need to conclude all of us together. So relentless communication, yeah, without giving up, and also being very, very positive in terms of our communication. So communicate relentlessly, simplify the message and be direct, and then listen and encourage input. Where possible, illustrate through stories, and then affirm with actions. Affirm with actions. Yeah. And Stephen Covey says that seek first to understand and then to be understood. In every effective communication, I know we have some psychologists here. This is really important. Yeah, to get to the heart of a person, we only get to the heart through communication. Yeah, the communication is the doorway to the heart of a person. And when the person feels that I have an ear, this person cares, and the caring only maybe comes by I'm paying attention, then that person is able to open more and usher me to the deeper part of the person. So seek first to understand, then to be understood. There are some components of communication. And also they are in percentages. And I think it will be also interesting, maybe for if some of us have not seen these statistics, just to look at it and think through. So if we look at it from the communication iceberg, we are saying communication skill level, but the level of communication skills contributes to about 7 to 10% of a leader's impact or effectiveness of communication. But the attitude, the motivational level, they contribute between 90 to 93%, because attitude shouts, attitude speaks very loud. Yeah, it might sometimes even outshine the words, and that's why it takes a big chunk of how effective we communicate as leaders. On the other side, we have the body language. The body language takes 55%. The language you're using takes 7%. The paralanguage, here the volume, the pitch, the speaking rate, the voice quality takes 38%. So you see, like, the body language is key. It takes quite a big share of being an effective communicator. So the appearance, again, the appearance is important, fitting into the occasion. The body language, as I said, even the words that we choose and the emotions that we display. So those are some of the communication languages. The appearance is a communication, the body language, the words, and also the emotions that are read through sometimes the body language. This is also another source, which also aligns to the earlier one, because again, the body language here is 55%. The tone and inflection, this is the paralanguage, 37%, and then the words 8%. So I just felt just to look at another source and see, is there agreement on these two different sources? And again, we can see there's some level of agreement from these two sources. So we are saying communication or leadership equals communication. Yeah, leadership equals communication. And the most important role of a leader is communication. Yeah, and I think this is something that all leaders, we need to focus on it very, very intentionally. And we're saying this is the real work of leadership. And good leadership starts with good communication. And your leadership will rise or fall based on your ability to communicate. And also the vision. The vision can excel, the project can excel based on the level of our communication. And I think for us, when we realized this, we had to think through what is the best way of communicating. There are areas that we can only communicate through other people. We feel maybe you need to build a network where people are able to communicate to each other. Yeah, so that when they communicate to each other, they're able to pass the message. And the best way to ensure these people are talking to others is to give them value. Give them something that they feel they can sell it with confidence. Yeah. So the different strategies that we can employ. So these are the 5 leadership principles on effective communication. 1, we are saying leadership equals communication. 2, we are saying effective communicators understand the purpose, that is the why. They also understand the how, the method, and they also understand the outcome. What do we expect? This can also relate to the first question that we talked about, the main question, but in a different setting. Because the first question we were saying, the leader needs to define what should the people know, how should they feel, and what should they do. But here we are saying the clarity of why am I communicating this message, and what is the best way to communicate, and what do I expect after the communication of the message. So still on the second, we're saying there are some important questions that we need to ask. For example, the why. What is the purpose of the communication? Am I communicating to inform? Am I communicating to educate? Am I communicating to instruct? Am I communicating to persuade? So that also dictates maybe the how. It also dictates other approaches, maybe the setup and many other areas. So again, we're saying the how. What is the best method in terms of the given situation? Yeah, we're saying it's very important to keep the message brief and focus on quality, not just the quantity. And then know your audience. I am sure these are issues maybe we have had again and again, and I think it's just good to remind ourselves. Understanding our audience is important because it helps us also to know what is the best way of connecting with them, and then realize perspectives are not always the same. Sometimes you might get a perspective on the stage or from the audience that will also shape your perspective. This has happened many times, or it also informs how I need to communicate probably the message in another way. So the different perspective, that open-mindedness is important, very critical. Again, now the third one, you're saying what is the message? So that has also to be very clear what message I am communicating. Thirdly, we are saying only effective communicators connect. Yeah, only effective communicators connect. We only know that you have achieved to communicate when there is engagement. There's engagement, there's connection. People are starting to respond, to engage. Yeah. So only effective communicators connect, inspire, and influence. Yeah, capturing a vision or an idea is one thing. Communicating the vision in an inspirational and influential manner is another major task that only effective communicators achieve. So remember this, that having a vision is important. But again, how do I transmit that? That becomes a major question to think through. Number 4, the 5th principle, communication differentiates performance. So communication skills, which is the soft skills, will always enhance on the hard skills. Yeah, we encourage, especially those who have really ventured into this, especially to the science areas, that we need to boost our hard skills with communication skills, because that will help us to achieve more, share more, and also collaborate more. and work better as a team. So the issue of leadership, communication, collaboration, that brings the distinction. And then finally, effective interpersonal skills enhances relationships, networking, and collaboration. So I'll take you to the 3 qualities of an effective communicator. But before this, I want to share a video here. And I just want you to, again, look at this video. And we look at some of the key things that we can pick from this video, either from what we have discussed or from our general understanding about communication. So allow me just to put the video on, and we look at it together. So are you able to see that video? And get the sound on your end. Okay, thank you, Anthony. So let's listen to this, follow through, at least make an observation on issues of effective communication.
For even as we celebrate tonight, we know the challenges that tomorrow will bring are the greatest of our lifetime. I stand here knowing that my story is part of the larger American story, that I owe a debt to all of those who came before me, and that in no other country on earth is my story even possible. I'm the son of a black man from Kenya and a white woman from Kansas. I am married to a black American who carries within her the blood of slaves and slave owners. I have brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, uncles, and cousins of every race and every hue scattered across 3 continents. These people are part of me, and they are part of America, this country that I love. I've come here to Cairo to seek a new beginning between the United States and Muslims around the world, one based on mutual interest and mutual respect. Just as Muslims do not fit a crude stereotype, America is not the crude stereotype of a self-interested empire. To say that force may sometimes be necessary is not a call to cynicism, it is a recognition of history, the imperfections of man, and the limits of reason. We gather here to honor the courage of ordinary Americans willing to endure billy clubs and the chastening rod, tear gas and the trampling hoof. Men and women who, despite the gush of blood and splintered bone, would stay true to their North Star and keep marching towards justice. Blinded by hatred, the alleged killer could not see the grace surrounding Reverend Picnic and that Bible study group. The light of love that shone as they opened the church doors and invited a stranger to join in their prayer circle. The alleged killer could have never anticipated the way the families of the fallen would respond when they saw him in court in the midst of unspeakable grief with words of forgiveness. He couldn't imagine that. And while this nation has been tested by war, and it's been tested by recession, and all manner of challenges, I stand before you again tonight, after almost 2 terms as your president, to tell you I am more optimistic about the future of America than ever before. Hey, NBC News fan.
Okay, that is it. Someone that we are very familiar with. And maybe if you think about communication, I think that's one person that we just want to look at, listen to, and pick a few lessons here and there. And I don't know from your end, any observation, any lesson, any reflection that we're able to share from that clip. So we can take like 3 before we conclude these discussions. So just again, let's feel free to use the chat or just unmute and share as we continue. So let me pick let me pick 2. Let me pick 2 because of time. Yes, Pastor David, see you are unmuted.
Yeah, I can talk of clarity. He's so clear in his speech. Yeah, when he's delivering his speech, is very clear.
Yeah, very clear, very eloquent.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pastor David. Maneno, we are saying he speaks with passion. Yeah, passion. He's able to move people because of how passionate he is. You could actually tell this person believes in what he's communicating. Albert, we are saying connecting with audience, effective communication. He's able to connect with the audience. Yeah, thank you so much. Ruth, see your hand is raised.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say, some of the initial clips, he was trying to convince, you talked about why you communicate. Sometimes you're convincing people, sometimes you're, okay, let me just stick to Obama. So among the first clips, he was telling us about his story and how his story is unique to, not to any other person. So that was very, his reason for communication is different from among the last clip where now he was saying, I've served you for 2 terms, so, but it's all effective. So the reason is different. That's something I carried home from what you taught, that you communicate for different reasons. So yes, that's something I also picked from Obama. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much, Ruth. And also the adaptability. You saw he could speak to different audience, go to the Muslims. He's able to fit in very well, go to a church. He was able to adapt to the different environment. And even the message could adapt to the different environment. Sometimes you could see one of them, he was actually consoling the people. But by the time he's finishing, those people were up in terms of the spirit. Their spirits had been really uplifted. He related with them from a very sad mood, but again upscaled that. He didn't leave them sad. He actually left them happy, left them excited because of the message that he was sharing. So I think this is someone that we can really learn a lot from in terms of how passionate he is, how focused, how clear he communicates, and also in terms of the body language. The body language, you could see the body language really goes hand in hand with the message that is communicating. So I think let's again, as we continue with the remaining part, think about that clip. It will help us just to look at the remaining part. So there are 3 qualities of an effective communicator. 3 qualities of an effective communicator. This will be a very good summary just to take as a take home. 1 is to be audience focused. And I think we saw this from the clip. Yeah, be more of the audience and less of you. I always say that we have the time to be more of ourselves before we get to the stage. Before we get to the stage, we can look at our dressing, we can look at our manuscripts, we can think about how we look, how we speak, how by the moment we land on the stage, all those becomes secondary. The primary is the audience. Even if there is a flop, even if there is something you're feeling is not coming out clear, this is not the time to pay a lot of attention to ourselves. It's the time now to look at what the audience require and ensure that we are delivering it as it should be. So be audience focused, more of audience, less of you. Approach everything from the audience centered and perspective. And they're saying, I need to think beyond self, how I look, how I sound. I think these are the things that needs to be done behind the stage. And then the moment we're on the stage, now we focus the attention to the audience. So it's about engaging your audience, connecting with your audience. It's about having focus on the audience and trying to see, are we connecting? Are we connecting? So again, the key questions to ask is, what information does my audience need to know? Yeah. And how can I present this information in a connecting approach, in a way that can connect with them? And how can I help them to achieve their goals? How should they be feeling by the time I'm concluding? Yeah, how should they be feeling by the time I'm concluding? So audience focused, it was one of the effective, one of the qualities of an effective communicator. Two is passion, and we have seen this from the President Obama. Yeah, enthusiasm reflects the passion within. Yeah, if you want to sell a message, you first have to be sold to the message. Yeah, the message has to be inscribed. It has to consume me. Then when it consumes me, I'm able to also consume other people with the same message. So I have first to buy into the message, then I sell the message. So you have to buy into your message before your idea or your vision before we can sell them. Because people will pick the communication from the passion that is coming out of our communication. So your audience will always pick some signals. And if we haven't bought into the message, they will always pick it. Okay. So if you're not passionate about the topic, then that will also affect our communication negatively. Okay. And then be the expert. The third one is be the expert. Be the expert. So master your subject, be the expert on your topic, research as much as possible, maximally quote references where need be, just to back up your reasons. It also tells that you have researched, and your idea is not just your own personal idea, but it relates to what other people think about the idea. It gives it weight. And also the different way of communicating the same message. Maybe you are communicating in a different way, and someone else communicated it in another way, which you are also able to refer to. So if you are an expert on the topic you are presenting, you feel confident and easy. If you have researched, actually you don't present under pressure. Yeah, preparation releases pressure. It releases pressure. Yeah. So this confidence will reflect in your body language and also in your delivery. So this is what we are saying, that an effective communicator adopts what we call an APE. An APE, APE. That means the person or the communicator is audience-centered, is also passionate expert. Audience-centered and passionate expert. So those are the three qualities of an effective communicator: audience-focused, passion, and also expert. And I'll conclude by mentioning some of the speaking competencies that relate. Actually, this is more of a summary of what we have talked. One, when we are communicating, number one is that we need to have an engaging introduction. I always feel that people will give you a leeway of maybe a maximum of 2 minutes to decide if they're going to listen to you to the very end or they will switch off. And now, how do I engage the people within those 2 minutes and keep them with me for the remaining 30 or 1 hour? That will come in at the engagement, at the introduction. So an engaging introduction is key. And I don't know what are the probably some of the ideas of having an engaging introduction. I'm sure we have all practiced this differently. So I don't know what you could share as the possible ideas of having an engaging introduction? Maybe anybody who may have a suggestion on the same. How do we have an engaging introduction?
Sometimes, depending on the audience, you can have like an icebreaker, which works for if your audience is like young people, they like to be engaged. Another example may be if you have a different mature audience, and I don't know whether this is part of it, but I think if you just give people, if it's a manageable group and you give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, so yeah, that's probably another idea. And if you're the humorous type, you can start with a story which is funny, and so you'll have the attention of the audience. My 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ruth, totally. Yeah, a story does very well, which relates to the discussion. A question can also be another way of starting the discussion. And sometimes you can even come up with some statistics that might look maybe alarming. Yeah, some statistics that will make people start really thinking through and starting to yearn to know more about what you are presenting. So those are some of the ideas, as Ruth has mentioned: a story, a question, an icebreaker, a joke, which also again relates. Again, as we said, know your audience. Know your audience. There are those that you might give a joke and maybe they may not really connect with you. So what are my audience and how do I engage with them? So the engaging story, our engaging introduction is key. Mastery of the topic, again, we have said this, and then adapt to the audience. There are times I've been in some meetings and there with PowerPoint, but when I look around, I feel no. This is not a PowerPoint meeting. This is, we just need to have a conversation. So that means I need to master my content and deliver the same content without presentation, but through a conversation. Yeah, so adapt this to the audience, and then clear organization. Where should I start and what am I building towards? So at the end of the day, where should we land? And how should the people feel and what should they do at the end of the day? And that reflects in the organization of the message. Then well-supported ideas, I said you can reference where possible, clarity, and also that also includes the language that we are using. Again, there's suitable vocal expression. Yeah, there are different rhythms, there are different connotation of the message. So whatever I am communicating, what is the best vocal expression? Do I need non-verbal? Then maybe I may need some charts. I may need to show some pictures or some images, whatever else that can enhance my communication. Visual aids where necessary. Convincing persuasion, very important. People need to feel convicted. Why should we buy into what they're telling us? So we need to be convicted, and that can also come. For example, when we're talking about the project proposal, if I'm really able to show the problem and how serious this problem is, and then I come up with an idea. So I'll really try to first paint the picture of this is something that we need to address. Because if we don't address it, these are some of the consequences. And this is the solution that we have. And that is now the way of logically creating persuasion. And then closure in the conclusion. We should not leave people hanging. People should live with that clarity. This is what I want them to know. This is how I want them to feel. And this is what I want them to do. So by the time I'm concluding, it's very clear. And even people can start feeling, okay, I think this is what I need to take. Even probably sometimes before you tell them, because the message and the organization is leading towards that. And then finally, leaders, we are saying preparation and practice releases pressure. Preparation and practice releases pressure. I've felt that anytime I've been in a forum where I'm presenting and I've spent my time preparing well, I don't feel like I'm under pressure. I feel like I can take this discussion from this angle to this angle. I'm able to respond to questions maybe in a more knowledgeable way because I've taken time to be able to research widely. So we are saying preparation and practice will always release pressure when we are presenting. Again, there are some communicators, stoppers you need to watch out. There are things that choke communication, stops communication. So we need to watch out for these communication stoppers. Yeah, and there are examples here, but there are many. These are just some of the examples. The language that you use and it stops communication. One of it is, this is the way it is. So the moment I say, this is the way it is, it means there's no any other way. So we just have to adopt this way. And even those who had ideas, maybe they are not able to voice it out. Again, you are wrong. You are wrong. If you say you are wrong, again, we stop the communication. What is your proof? Yeah, whatever. You, we versus they or us or versus them or even the gossip. Yeah, I don't know if what other communication stoppers you can think about. But these are some of the things that sometimes they come unconsciously. We just say them without really maybe thinking in terms of the impact to the people or to the person that you are communicating to. So some of the stoppers, maybe you can add to this list. Any other stopper that you can think about, just share on the chat. We can look at it. So finally, this is what we are saying, leaders, that effective leaders know that effective communication is one of the critical success factor in every leadership situation. We say that you might have a very good vision, but again, how do we persuade people to buy and even bring their resources to that vision? And communication should be done on purpose, intentional, and also should be active rather than passive. Should also effective communicators engage in every conversation having an expected outcome in mind, but also with an open mind. Okay, with an open mind. They take their available opportunities to share their perspective with an open mind. And then lack of effective communication leaves too much room for imagination and speculation. Those are the meetings you attend, and by the time the speaker is concluding, you are wondering why were we here? Why did we come? Because we haven't gotten the message. Yeah, but if the communicator or the communication is effective, or everybody will be able to get the clarity that this is what this speaker was driving to. So leaders, as I conclude, I want to conclude with this quote by George Washington. This is what he says, that when you can do the common things of life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. And the best communicators, they are always very good in terms of commanding the attention. Commanding the attention, commanding the resources. They're very good in terms of engaging the people, and they excel. Why? Because whatever they have, they're able to pass it, and they're able to allow the space for other people to relate with what they are saying. And through that, they're able to excel and succeed. Why? Because of their communication abilities. So we are saying, when you can do the common things of life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. That calls for effective communication and making it very intentional. So I want to congratulate you, because that brings us to the end of the coursework. And thank you so much for keeping it up to here. I'm sure the journey has been, we've had different reaction, different reflection along the way, but here we are, having concluded the coursework. And I think that tells you that we are now remaining with a very, very small part of this masterclass, and we'll be done with the training. So I don't know if there is any reaction on this. We might not spend a lot of time on the project proposal. Maybe we'll just take feedback. We'll not have presentation, but we just narrate where we are, and then we'll be able to agree what is the way forward. But before that, on the communication, any take home, any takeaway, anything you may want to re-echo from what I have shared or what we have discussed? So probably if we can take one, maybe just one question. Or one comment. That is, if there is any. I know we have been engaging. Yes, Pastor David, karibu.
Yeah, people are prone to forgetting so much. So this issue of communicating relentlessly is very, very important. We need to keep telling people sometimes one thing again and again and again, just to make sure that they get what we want to tell them. Yeah.
Very true, yes. Pastor David. Thank you so much for that contribution. And again, remember we were saying that as leaders, at least in a month, it's prudent that we communicate our vision twice in a month. That tells people like, this is where we are going, this is what we are doing. So all these activities we are having, it's because of this. Yeah, so that people do not lose focus, and also people do not, again, start building their own their own cocoons or their own direction, that which is outside your direction. So that communication of the vision really makes sure that everybody is focused to the same thing. Yeah, and I think that connects with what Pastor David has mentioned. So maybe leaders, let's allow ourselves to share on the chat. I can see already, I see some few comments. Mr. Maneno, wrong imagination and speculation is a product of lack of effective communication. Yeah, the speculation and wrong imagination. Mr. Monkey is congratulating the team. He's saying, congratulations, leaders. This far you have come. Finishing strong is always the motto. So allow us to post there, but the chat is open. So from here, what next? Now we're going to focus on the project proposal. And next week on Thursday will be our final discussion on project proposal. What we expect from you may not be 100% done, but at least we expect something that can guide our discussion. And this is because of the limited time. We know that we are working under a very strained program. So we'll see how much you're able to do. And then whatever you'll be able to do, we'll work with that. But we encourage you to be able to do as much as you can. But again, we will just take up to next week, Thursday, and we'll be able to bring this to a close. So let's just take the feedback without so much details. Allow us just to take 10 minutes, leaders, so that by 10:20 we conclude. And I will allow each team 2 minutes to share their updates. And then from this, we'll also have more conversation along the way. There are those who have already sent their proposal, which I'm reviewing. Then I'll be able to give you feedback. So with this interaction, I'm sure by Thursday, we'll be somewhere where we'll be able to conclude strong, as Mr. Mwangi has indicated. So I'll start today with team 4. Team 4, I'll start with team 4, led by Mr. Anthony Kamau. So Mr. Anthony and your team, probably you can take this time to update us. I know I've received your work, but for the purpose of the group, if you can just give us a just a brief, I think we'll appreciate that. So Mr. Anthony and the team, welcome. Mr. Anthony, we are together with Pastor David, Elizabeth, and Cheriot. So I don't know if Anthony, you can get me on your end.
Yes, Joseph, I can get you.
Okay.
Yeah, we have informed. We have gone ahead and worked on the statement problem, the motivation, and also part of the findings and discussions. From the former guidance that you gave us, we thought through in having the topic changed to the church post-COVID pandemic. And last time we had mentioned about the objectives that we came up with. So probably maybe today I can mention about the motivation.
That's okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. So in the part of the motivation that we came up with, we said that the COVID-19 has presented a number of ways in which the church has been broken down, but also presenting opportunities for the church to step up in and respond with the solidarity and love. It is in the backdrop of these concerns that this project sought to determine the current state of the church post-COVID-19 pandemic in Kenya and offer ideological support to faith leaders on how to reinvent new strategies in evangelism amidst the challenges. The study also campaigns and advocates for the change in the manner which some of the religious activities are performed. So basically, our project is to show how the church still has opportunities amidst the post-COVID challenges and how it can survive through with the challenges that are there, because this is happening all over the country, but our study was more focused in Kenya. So I don't know whether I'll be in a position, my machine is running out of power. I had shared to the part of the findings and discussions. I don't know whether I can refine these in the next, during the project presentation day.
Yeah, probably we can look at the objectives, then we post there.
The objectives, one of the objectives that we had stated is that we want to reinstate the church back to its sole mandate of evangelism. Then we need to establish the post-COVID financial challenges affecting the modern church, and maybe how the church in future can step up to support itself in a midst of such challenges and other calamities expected. Then we thought of mobilizing the church back to prayer and intercessory, as we may know that during the COVID-19, it had so many definitions. Others said it was the act of God. So reinstating the church and mobilizing it back to prayer intercessory. Then reviving the prayer movements, some that were cancelled, missions, evangelism in nations through physical and online platforms. Then we also, one of the other objectives was to focus on the training seminars so that we can equip the modern church for the tasks expected. And lastly, it is to empower the church leadership to positively influence the world and also give hope and courage in such a time that the one we experienced in the time of COVID. So those are some of the objectives that we had come up with, and the project still work in progress. And we hope it will be fine-tuned on the day of presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Anthony.
Yeah.
We'll work on these objectives to at least reduce them to maximum 3.
3, okay.
So that at least we see if we're able to cover the three within the limited time.
Okay.
Because now from the objectives, the literature review now respond to the objectives. So if there are many, it means we have to read widely.
Yeah.
We may not have enough time to cover all of them.
Yeah.
So allow me some time just to look at them, and then I'll give my proposal on the areas that we can focus on by tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, because the topic is very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe was there a limit in terms of words, or it was just open?
Yeah, it is open. Now for the PowerPoint, the most important in the PowerPoint is to ensure that it's not too wordy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also to ensure that maybe it's the fonts are not too small, so we can it's better to have even 2 slides on the same area, but we don't crowd too much. But that's not a big issue, because you might have some text, but you will just give us a high level, you just highlight what all these texts are all about.
Okay.
Yeah, but now from this, I'll be able to give you some feedback on the same.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is good, good progress. We just talked last week, and having done all this work, I think this is really commendable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So together with your team, we appreciate, and let's keep on. Now, I think the work is on my end. You can continue doing whatever you're able to do, but let me give you the feedback.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
We appreciate. Yeah.
Thank you. We do appreciate too, and we look forward to concluding well on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the next team, Team 3. We'll have Mr. Maneno. We have Sarah. Sarah is also on board. Harrison, and we have Ruth. Okay, so I'll hand over to Mr. Maneno or any of the team member. Yes, Mr. Maneno, you can proceed. I think, I don't know if it's only on my end. I can't hear Mr. Maneno on my end. Not yet.
I think he's muted.
Oh, yeah. Not yet, Mr. Maneno. Okay, so probably any other member who might also.
Can you get me now?
Yes, Mr. Maneno.
Okay. I think the audio was having a problem.
Probably you can switch off one of the gadgets.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically, what we were doing, we are handling something on a study of on the influence of comprehensive sexuality education among adolescents in high school in Kenya. And we've been able to really work out on the background. And then as a team, we were able to come up with a problem statement, which is the study of the influence of comprehensive sex education among adolescents in Kenya. And what has really motivated us, we want to investigate the influence of that sexual comprehensive sex education among adolescents. And then we would like to see if there is a relationship between comprehensive sex education, sexuality education, and teenage pregnancy. And also we would like to establish, we would like to establish on how technology affects sexuality, sexual behavior among adolescents. And the other thing is that we would like also to find how are these adolescents, where do they find the information as far as sexuality is concerned? And we are yet to go, we have given ourselves some a deadline to work on something on the methodology and the literature review. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Maneno. Probably maybe one question at the end of this research, where do you envisage to maybe who could consume this? Who could consume these resources or this information?
From one of the book we are relying on a document written by the UNICEF, UNESCO, not UNESCO.
Okay.
So our take is that what we will have worked on, the Ministry of Education is one of the key people who will really need this information, and also the church. Okay. So those are the key people we have in mind. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's okay. That's clear. Because again, when we determine that, it also helps us in terms of even the objectives and the rest, because we need to align. We need to align. So I think we'll have to look at your problem statement.
Yes.
I think just allow me to look at this, and then I'll be able to give you the feedback. Because here we need to show how serious is this problem. If there are any statistics that we can use here, I think we can populate them here to paint how the problem is. And then the motivation, why is this topic very important? Again, I think we also need to relook at this a little bit, so that I see there are some research questions. Maybe some of this can also be in part of the objectives. So we'll see how to organize this. And then the objective, we can work with a maximum of 3. But your objective seems to be okay. We'll just look at which one do we collapse or which one do we probably omit for now because of, again, as I said, because of time. Okay, so this is a good start. So I think allow me by tomorrow, I will be able to share my feedback, and then we'll be able to move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Maneno and the team. And we also appreciate for this progress.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, so allow me to move on to team 2. Team 2, we have Miriam, we have Pastor Julius, we have Albert, and we have Patency. So I know team 2, you presented something last week. Maybe you can just share if there is, where are you now? I think that will be good enough for today.
Yeah. Okay. Last week we shared up to, we did the background. We shared about the statement of the problem and the motivation and also the objectives. And we already sent you and you checked and you corrected. So this week we were able to tackle on the findings. So I cannot share them as they are not yet refined. And also on the finding, all the findings, we're able to do them. And also to come up with the implementation strategies, still refining them by the coming meetings that we'll be having. They will be refined to be shared. Yeah, that is, well, I think we have completed all of it. And we are refining them. It's just it's comprehensive currently.
Okay, so I think Miriam, that's good enough. So if probably you can be able to share once you refine.
Yes.
We'll agree, all of us. Today is Thursday. Those teams that are waiting for me, I'll share by tomorrow. And then probably by Monday, you can share your revised proposal. I don't know if that is very tight, but we can try and work with that because we need to conclude by Thursday. So for Miriam, I think for you, you may not need to wait until Monday. Anytime you are ready before that day, just send so that I can look at it and then give you my comments.
Okay.
Okay, otherwise, thank you, and continue with your team.
Thank you.
So for team one, I had talked to the team leader. Team leader, I think he had shared his apology, but I trust Mr. Mwangi, you're working hand in hand with this team. They had shared their progress. Again, I think for this team, I'll just share the feedback directly with the team because we already are working on something. But Mr. Mwangi, let me allow you just to also make a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, in fact, I had talked to the team leader yesterday, and he shared a draft with me, which I did some revisions or rather editing for that matter, and I referred it back to him for his consumption, and then forward it to you. In the meantime, I had sent the same draft to you, just in case he's not able to do that. So you can look from either side. So it is on the email. Otherwise, I talked to him yesterday and he had that apology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
I'll make a follow-up on him.
Okay. Okay, thank you, leaders. I think probably we can say we are close to 50%, and some teams are already above that. The reason why I'm saying that is because that part of identifying the topic is always a big challenge, a topic that you feel now, wow, this one I can work on it. So the moment you have settled on a topic, that's already part of the success. Two, if you're able to define the problem is another big milestone and clearly define the problem statement and the motivation and the objectives. If you get those ones right, actually you have already done the 50%. So the other ones becomes easier because we are really focused on the areas that you are looking at. So I'll just make one request that let's allow and accept to stretch a little bit between now and Thursday. And that way by Thursday, you will be looking at your presentation and will be wondering, so it was possible. But why? Because in this short time, I'm sure we're able to do so much together. So we'll be interchanging. Tomorrow I'll send to the teams that I've promised to send. Once you work on something, send it back. We continue interchanging like that. On Tuesday, we'll discuss on the chat and see if there is need to, maybe if there is a team that feels we need to have a video meeting, also feel free to let me know. But ideally, if we work online, then by Thursday, I'm sure we'll all be ready. We'll also be inviting the alumni who may want to come and participate on Thursday so that they can also come on board and share their input as you present. Otherwise, I want to commend you. First of all, congratulations for completing the coursework, and the rest, we're going to work together and we'll ensure that we conclude strong. And again, at the end of the day, I'm sure with maximum value. So thank you. I don't know, Eda, if you have any comment on your end before we conclude. Okay, I think Edda probably she may not have a comment. So I just want to say thank you so much, leaders. We want to wish you a blessed night, even as we continue to engage. So kindly, let's just unmute and share the words of grace as we close. Okay, so may the grace
of our Lord Jesus
Christ,
and the love of God,
and the
fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night, all leaders.
Have a blessed night to everyone.
Yes. Thank you.